This is a 2015 Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG GT Final Edition. As the name implies, the Final Edition was the last of the SLS AMGs, a car legendary in its own right as a modern interpretation of the legendary 300 SL, but it features a mid-mounted modern fuel-injected powertrain, a new interior, and most importantly, supercar-like performance. On top of that, the Final Editions came with this exclusive carbon fiber clad exterior and interior, and were also limited to just 350 cars for the entire planet, of which production was further split between 200 coupes and 150 roadsters like this one, making these roadsters the rarest version of the Final Edition. Now this car, well maintained as it is now for sale. You can find it heading up for auction on Bring a Trailer, where it will be selling with no reserve as offered from Cascio Motors. Now, under the hood is not the 6.3 that the fender badge implies. It's technically a naturally aspirated 6.2-liter V8, handcrafted by AMG with the special signature, and it's rated for 583 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. So yes, this is an incredibly powerful car. But furthermore, notice just how far back the engine's actually mounted in the car. It's actually mounted behind the wheels, which means that this car is actually front mid-engine as well. Further enhancing the weight distribution is the fact that this car features a carbon fiber drive shaft, and then what would have been brand new at the time, a 7-speed dual clutch automatic AMG transmission with an integrated limited slip differential located at the back of the car, further improving weight distribution with near 50-50 in this car, which basically improves driving in just about every instance. On top of that, everything was nicely nestled into an aluminum space frame in this car, which features double wishbone suspension in the front and in the rear, giving this thing top-of-the-line performance along with the AMG dynamic driving modes. And then you even had massive 6-piston AMG brakes up front and 4-piston brakes in the rear to bring this thing to a stop and compensate for all of the performance. This thing is a proper supercar, and it's relatively lightweight at around 3,600 pounds for a convertible of this caliber, and per Mercedes achieves 0 to 60 in just 3.6 seconds with an electronically limited top speed of 197 miles per hour. So this is a lot of car. It looks awesome under the hood, but more importantly, drives awesome and sounds awesome too. Next, let's take a closer look at the exterior, but first, the key. Now, this is a pretty standard Mercedes key for the time, and it does have the option to insert the key, although that's not necessary with the SLS AMG. It actually features a keyless start system. However, in the event that the battery in the key fob dies, there is a hidden option to actually use the key to start it in that event. You, of course, have the classics like the lock-unlock buttons, a trunk pump, and of course, a panic button. Taking a closer look at the exterior, it's instantly recognizable as a vehicle inspired by the 300 SL. I mean, just the headlights, the long hood, the overall proportions, and the taillights are all very reminiscent of that legendary sports car from the 1950s. But now we have this modern interpretation, and the styling is phenomenal. I think the overall design of these cars is just timeless, and even today, now that these cars, this one specifically, is 10 years old, it still looks phenomenal on the road, and still, even by modern standards, has its supercar performance. So the hard part with the SLS AMG when designing the Final Edition, Mercedes had to ask themselves, how do we make this Final Edition stand out from the other legendary SLS AMGs? Well, the obvious answer was carbon fiber, and this car has a lot of it. As you take a look in the front here, this lower carbon fiber front splitter is gorgeous, but then up top here, a massive carbon fiber hood that incorporates all sorts of air ducts to help with heat extraction for the engine bay. On top of that, it also got these exclusive Final Edition wheels, simple but lightweight, staggered with 19 inches in the front here and 20 inches in the rear. And the other cool part is on this car, it actually comes with these brand new Continental Extreme Contact Sport 02 tires that are actually date coded for 2025. So that is awesome. Then lastly, here in the rear, you also got this massive carbon fiber wing that really stands out on the car, and perhaps the most instantly recognizable element of it is this big big spoiler to also help with performance, but they also gave you a special interior, but we'll cover that more in depth in a second. So overall, the elements of the final edition were really special, but it was still an SLS AMG, which in itself is such a special car. I really love the way they designed the headlights on these cars, the intakes, the overall styling, the curvature and aggressive, beautiful lines of the car. They incorporate, of course, the 6.3 badging with the side vents. They incorporated turn signals into the mirrors. And then as you get to this section, perhaps the most important on this particular car, being a roadster. The deceptive part is it looks like a traditional soft top, but if you actually knock on it, that is basically a hard top that Mercedes has produced for this car. It features extra sound deadening and insulation so that when the top is actually up on the car, it can be as quiet as possible. And the benefit is, on a nice day like today where you can have the top down, it's as easy as just the touch of one button. It's power folding both up and down, which is very, very nice. The SLS also came with this beautiful gas cap that really gives it a nice classy look. And then as you come to the rear of the car, you of course get your badging, your taillights, and access to your trunk space along with your dual exhaust for what really is the complete package, but the final edition complete package to really stand out. Moving on to the interior, this was also significantly updated with the final edition. You have basically all of the luxuries you could ask for in the SLS AMG, but now exclusively for the final edition. The main highlight being the designo exclusive leather package here, which integrated this beautiful diamond stitching you see in the seats and even the door panels to just give it a really special, seamless experience. But as you can see when you take a closer look, you also have carbon fiber integrated into the doors and even the gloss carbon fiber there in the center console, along with this sports steering wheel now in Alcantara with a beautiful silver center stripe and even the matching carpets and beautiful pedals. The seats themselves are fantastic. Of course, Mercedes fashion, there's a lot of stuff going on here. AMG embossed into the headrest, the air scarf, AMG badging, contrast stitching, and then of course heavy bolsters here on the sides and in the legs. They are power adjustable and heated, but more importantly, they're not just generically power adjustable. They have memory settings and fine-tuning adjustments, so you can specifically fine-tune the bolsters and even the lumbar support, for example, to really hold yourself in tight during sporty driving. Additionally, as you take a look at the door card, this all matches the rest of the interior. It comes with this lower door pocket, your power window controls, power mirror controls, and even your central locking system. As we direct your attention to the interior, you have this beautiful AMG door sill plate that greets you as you get into the car, not to mention the rest of the interior. Your electronic parking brake and trunk opening buttons are neatly located on the left side here, along with your headlight controls and some of the beautiful climate control systems, but also the beautiful Alcantara through the rest of the vehicle. And you can even see, as I talked about earlier, how the inside of the roof is actually insulated to make it as quiet as possible. With that, let's go ahead and climb into the car, and we can go ahead and see the rest of the details. Once you get in, the engine start stop button actually illuminates itself here in the middle, recognizing the key. So you can start this thing right up, and you can see everything roar to life there on the inside of the SLS AMG, of which, of course, all of this is just beautifully crafted and really stands out for the overall construction. Now, the first thing you notice is right in front of you is this gauge display. It uses sort of a traditional silver classic look with these analog speedometer and tachometer, but it still features a digital display right in the middle. And with that display, you can of course navigate and change what it's displaying to you at any one moment, whether you want to look at the car's systems, if you want to look at temperatures for track days or sporty driving, or even adjust to things like the navigation or the radio controls, all of which is very, very helpful in this car. It can easily be adjusted through your sporty steering wheel here, which is very nice in the hands. Did I also mention the steering wheel itself is power adjustable? It also comes with these beautiful aluminum shifters here on either side, so you can actually manually shift through the gears for better, more responsive sporty driving from that dual clutch transmission. You also get things like cruise control and of course your turn signal and wiper stalk down below that. Moving on to the center of the car, the beautiful carbon fiber and the infotainment system. As you can see here, this is the expected Mercedes unit, including navigation, phone, and radio connections. And below that, you'll find the physical adjustments here with your quick jump buttons and even your fine-tuned including controls for the rest of the systems. Additionally, you'll also find the heated seat controls, which has 3 different temperature settings, as you can see here, for both the driver and the passenger, in addition to the air scarf, hazards, parking controls, and then below that, the climate control adjustments, of which is dual zone, with separate temperature adjustments for both the driver and the passenger side, and the main controls like fan speed here in the center. Below that, however, in this carbon fiber center section is the real exciting part. You can, of course, see the final edition 1 of 350 badge that you see here, but then we also have the shifter for our 7-speed automatic transmission. You simply pull it back to put the car in drive, push it forward to put the car in reverse, in which case it automatically brings up your backup camera, and simply push the park button to put the vehicle back into park. Over here on the left side, we have a lot of exciting buttons. This first one here are our drive modes. You can see currently the car is in comfort. You also have sport, Sport Plus, and even a manual mode, which of course means you are controlling the shifting of the car. Below that, we also have our engine start stop, our traction control, our suspension settings, which can change itself between Sport and of course Sport Plus for that suspension setting, and then your AMG buttons, again your infotainment adjustments, and even here we actually have our power top controls. Now this center section gets quite interesting because this piece can actually move backwards, and that displays a pocket here with your cup holders, or you can move it forward to make it look a bit more seamless and work as an armrest. And then in the back here we have more carbon fiber, but furthermore a little hidden cubby. In here is actually where you'll find the emergency start for that key in the event that the battery in the fob dies to start the car. Then you also have a nice little leather pouch here, and of course you can see the rest of the wind vents, if you will, in the back for when the top is down to help reduce wind buffeting. The side here for the passenger is very similar to that of the driver, now with a glove box and very cleanly insulated. Things like the roof now are also, of course, all Alcantara in the traditional SLS style, incorporating mirrors and a top light. And then you also have your center power controls that you would expect to see in this car. The overall design of this car is incredible, and the interior is just as special as the exterior. But the really cool part to me about the Roadster versus the Coupe is that when displaying this car, they can now see just how special the interior is with the top down at car shows, for example, while also being able to examine the exterior. And that, I think, is a pretty cool display of just how cool these final edition cars are. All right, let's punch it. Whoa. Oh man. You know, from the outside, the SLS AMG, of course, has a very luxurious, bespoke look to it, right? It might give off the wrong impression. On the surface, some people might think that the SLS AMG is a touring car, and it's not. It is, by every stretch of the imagination, a supercar. This thing is a proper performance vehicle. As you can tell from the information I've given you throughout the video, this is a mid-engine car that has all of the proper performance components. You've got things like the double wishbone suspension, massive performance disc brakes, but then also just the general layout and light weighting of the car. Furthermore, by buying the final edition, you also get all of the carbon fiber performance benefits, including that massive rear wing in the back, which gives you, again, just better performance as a whole. And so these are really, really special cars, and I think the value reflects that. In fact, these cars have not depreciated at all in terms of what they're actually doing in the market, and thus this is a very special car, especially once you start looking at the final edition, the special specs that were available of the SLS AMG, and nonetheless a Roadster, which gives you the option of both roof-up motoring but also top-down motoring, depending on whatever it is you desire that day. So a lot of enjoyable options. Now, what is it actually like to drive? Well, first of all, these seats, super comfortable, very greatly bolstered. They're holding me in place. I'm not sure I've even moved around or slid a millimeter while driving this car. Additionally, the view out is fantastic because the first thing you see right in front of you past the interior, of course, is your carbon fiber hood. And who doesn't love looking at the carbon fiber hood? Rear-wise, with the top up, obviously some of your visibility is restricted because of the convertible top, but I also want to point out that currently I can't actually see the spoiler head, so it's not restricting my view either, which is kind of a nice touch. Right in front of you though, the analog gauges mean you see the needles moving as you're driving too, which also adds to the fun factor. It gives you a very cool sense of occasion as you drive this car, because they tried to add a lot of classic sort of retro elements without making the car feel old, but also just very timeless. And I really appreciate that about this car. And I think that goes along with the exterior styling and giving you what is a very special experience. But then the materials and the construction, the leather and Alcantara throughout the vehicle also makes it lovely to be in. And then the sound. Oh my lord, unbelievable performance. 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds. Top speed of 197 miles per hour. Usually, the numbers from manufacturers, especially German ones, can be a little bit on the tame side. And if you wanted to really thrash this car, usually you can be a bit faster than that, especially with the race start and other performance functions. So this is a proper performance car in every stretch of the imagination. You can take this thing to the twisties and have a blast, or even take it and stroll around the car shows, whatever you want. This thing will do it all. And the story behind it, the engineering, the design, is just so special in this car. And then you get the AMG power plant in there, and it just sounds incredible. This really is from sort of a special era, if you will, for just general Mercedes AMG design, especially building on the heritage, being inspired by some of the most iconic cars in the Mercedes history. And these are just so special. You get a little bit of that designo leather on the inside, carbon fiber flare both on the exterior and the interior, giving you a really special car. The plaque on the inside reminding you that this car is just one of 350. Would be nice if it also had one in there that mentioned that it was just one of 150 roadsters at that. But very, very special cars. I also want to remind you that this particular car, as you see here, is of course for sale in obsidian black on the exterior. You can find this car heading up for auction on Bring a Trailer, where it will be selling with no reserve as offered from Cascio Motors. With that, that is the end of the video. If you enjoyed it and could leave me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it, and consider getting subscribed for more content like this in the future. With that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.